Hello everybody and welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts HD Dream Drop Distance playthrough. We are back in La Cité de Cloche. And obviously, as I said, we are just doing all of Sora's story, then we're doing all Riku's, and we're alternating like that. And I believe that pretty much starting from... it's probably actually this very part is where I'm going to start using Drop Me Nots a hell of a lot more. Because pretty much that is the way of getting through consistently and just making my life a hell of a lot easier in terms of editing, which pretty much is the way that I go through with most of these things. The less editing I have to do, the better. Because at this point in my life, spending that extra time editing, it gets in the way, which is really bad. I should put a little bit more effort into this than I probably am at this point. But obviously life gets in the way, and I'm really stupidly busy in life right now. It's ridiculous. So yeah, we're just gonna roll with it, and it will all be good.
Easy. I'm not looking for any sort of fight. Finally, someone sensible. I'm Phoebus. Tell me, is she still safe in the cathedral?
If she is Esmeralda, then Quasimodo helped her escape.
Blast!
What's wrong?
It's Judge Frollo. He's obsessed with destroying the gypsies, and his mind is in a dark place. When I objected to his barbarous actions, he banished me from the guard.
What? That's not fair.
Don't worry about me. Frollo said he's found the Court of Miracles, the gypsies' haven within the city. Esmeralda and her friends are in danger. We have to find them and warn them before Frollo gets there.
Quasimodo! Esmeralda's in trouble!
Where did she go?
I don't know. She vanished into the streets. She gave me this pendant. Esmeralda said this would help us find her. When you wear this woven band, you hold the city in your hand. It's the city! It's a map, see? Here's the cathedral and the river. Go this way, cross the bridge, and... the Court of Miracles!
Well done, Quasimodo!
Yeah, Quasi, nice!
Yes. I'm going to save her.
We are indeed, although obviously if you know the plot of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, it's probably not going to end quite as well as Quasi would have liked, but it's okay. So yes, as soon as you enter into the next area, you get thrown into this thing, which... it's a bit of a pain. It's a big-ass area with lots of enemies that, in typical Dream Drop Distance fashion at this point in time, are a little bit of a pain in the backside. It's frustrating because, because you have such low health at this point in the game, and it's really difficult actually to get a lot of health in the early game, and the enemies can do a lot of damage. I mean, obviously you've got this whole thing where you're pretty much constantly poisoned until you defeat one of these blighters. It's not necessarily the best setup, because it just gets really frustrating. Because then you're constantly just worried about your health and making progress, and if you die you go back to the start of the room, and because it's a huge room it's a bit of a pain. Yeah, it's one of the things that does annoy me about early game Dream Drop Distance. It's not so much of a problem in late game Dream Drop Distance, which is fine. And honestly, that is a thing that happens with quite a few games, actually. They tend to be a lot... They have that sort of reverse difficulty curve, which is always an odd one. I never quite understand why you would introduce a sort of reverse difficulty curve into your game. And while, I mean, it's not a fully reverse difficulty curve in this one, because ultimately the game does get harder. It's just that there is sort of this odd point in terms of your capabilities at this point in time, which are oddly lower than you would perhaps be expecting. I suppose it's like, I'm trying to think of other examples. So, like, I mean, Lollipop Chainsaw is probably the best example I've got. When you first start playing Lollipop Chainsaw, your capabilities are really not that impressive. And it's only probably once you manage to get past the first chapter that really you start to get any abilities that allow you to make any decent progress, or at least sort of have fun. And while that's certainly not the case with Dream Drop Distance, you can have fun from the off. It is still very much a case of it is just that little bit painful initially, but it's okay, and we will survive. I mean, I've already beaten the bloody game, so it's fine. And also, quite happily, I very recently finished The World Ends With You, so I can happily add that to my list of completed games, although let's just say that A New Day was not exactly what it should have been. But that's fine. If it leads to The World Ends With You 2, then, and that game is excellent, then I will be happy. But yes, less said about that, the better. Anywho, obviously we've cleared out all of the awful Dream Eaters in this area, so now it's time to go do the chest pickup, because I really need that, because I like these chests and I like the stuff that I get from them, because they're all really useful. And also there are a couple of portals about, like this one, although I don't know whether it's a special. Oh, it is brilliant, although I don't think we'll be achieving victory in 20 seconds or less. Because I'm pretty sure that we have to kill more than just this one evil Meow Wow. And if not, I kind of completely blew it by completely falling off the tower. Because that is always a helpful thing to do whenever you're fighting, is just go completely off where you were supposed to go. Always a delight. Certainly something that is more prevalent in the likes of Dream Drop Distance, because obviously areas are bigger, your movement is much more fluid than Kingdom Hearts has ever had, really. So it's hardly surprising. I suspect that it will probably be an issue in Kingdom Hearts 3 as well, because from the looks of things, that is also having much bigger areas to explore. And also your movement options are also greatly improved there. So I suspect you'll likely be falling off things in the middle of battles and having to wind your way all the way back up, which will be a pain, but as long as you know the movement options are fun and it's not too irritating, we should be alright, I think. But we'll see how we feel when the game comes out. I mean, at this point in time, it's a couple of months away. We've just had another Kingdom Hearts trailer that was delightful and bringing up so many more questions, and it's wonderful and totally Kingdom Hearts, and I love it. But it is, so this is one of the things that I do find quite funny with the Kingdom Hearts franchise and people's reactions to it, is that what seems to have developed now, I think I have mentioned this briefly in previous parts of previous Kingdom Hearts franchise playthroughs, maybe even in this one. Honestly, it could be anything at this point. I've been doing Kingdom Hearts games for like the last year so far, so it's hardly surprising that I've completely lost track of where I've said what. But yeah, where basically what's occurred is you've got one part of the fan base who are very much you've got to play every single game in the series to understand what's going on. I mean, on a technicality, yes, you kind of do, because there are a lot of very important things that occur in a number of the titles. I'd say arguably the least important in the franchise is Recoded, and that is pretty much only because it gives you really one fact and one fact only, and that is that Sora has got data hidden inside of him that will ultimately potentially help restore those who have been lost, which you sort of already find out in the secret ending of Birth by Sleep, I believe. I believe it is mentioned in other parts as well. So, once again, so Recoded ultimately is not that important plot-wise in the grand scheme of things. That said, it does still have an impact in the goings-on of the narrative, and anybody who goes into Kingdom Hearts 3 having not played any of the games is going to be quite confused, and understandably so. But going further on from that, you've also got some people who are really excited about playing Kingdom Hearts 3 who haven't played any of the quote-unquote spin-offs, who are very much just like, well, why would I want to play them? Which, in part, is an understandable viewpoint to take. I mean, the whole thing of them all being on different consoles when they were initially released, frequently being a little bit weird in terms of how they approach things, and just generally being quite quirky, I suppose. And so, and also because they are not on the main home consoles, as they were initially, people don't necessarily see them as being important to plot. They see them as spin-offs, and so why would you need to play a spin-off to understand what's happening in the main series? Obviously, unfortunately, the main issue with that line of thought is that there are technically no spin-offs in the Kingdom Hearts franchise. They are all part of the main narrative. It's just that they were initially on different systems. Thankfully, you know, they are now on a single system, because obviously they are all on the PlayStation 4 now. Delightfully, it's easily sort of the best decision that Square Enix could have made. Like, seriously? I don't know why they didn't... Well, they probably did think of doing it as soon as they realised that the game was going to be on the PS4. But it's just like, guys, yeah, it just makes so much sense, because since all the games were initially released on other consoles, being able to have them all in one place allows you to have a single point of call to experience everything, so that you are caught up. It's never been easier, ever, to play all the games in the Kingdom Hearts franchise, or at least to witness the story in some form. So, what you end up with, then, is a slightly odd position, where some people are just like, well, why would I play the spin-offs? But then they're all in one place, and ultimately Square Enix has kind of said, here you go, you can play the entire series, you can understand what's going on, so you're ready. Thankfully, obviously, in the more recent games, so Dream Drop Distance in particular, tries to do a decent job of highlighting important story elements. Whenever you do stuff. And I'm sorry, but that R really does look like an A. I'm pretty sure it is an R, but that's fine. And I kind of have completely forgotten my train of thought now, which is really bad. It seems to happen surprisingly regularly at this point. I'm getting old, you see. It's what happens. But yeah, so you end up with this situation where people are kind of being a bit, why should I? The game should kind of put it all out for me, and maybe it should. But it's kind of complicated, and I don't know quite where I sit in that argument. I suppose really I go with the, you probably should play them all. I'm not going to force you or anything. I mean, if you really don't want to, fine. There's no skin off my nose. But I suppose I would recommend playing all of them. One, because pretty much all of them, bar Chain of Memories, to me, are all decent and fun games. Like, bar Chain of Memories, I would pretty happily replay all of the Kingdom Hearts games. Yeah, I would. I mean, the fact that I have done playthroughs of all of them kind of puts testament to that. Obviously, Recoded and Free for Effect for 2 days were not actual playthroughs, because obviously a little bit more challenging to record and to do, so it kinda makes sense not to do them in the easier fashion because of life and so on and so forth. So because I enjoy all of them, it makes sense to me. Just play them all. It's a fun time. But obviously some people don't want to do that, and that's up to them. I don't know why there's been sort of this particularly crazy divergence in thought process between people. Like, I think on Twitter and so on and so forth, it's gotten very aggressive, almost, I suppose. I mean, maybe not hugely aggressive, but there's a lot of very opinionated people, which there always are on Twitter. I mean, Twitter's the place for opinions being voiced into echo chambers. But it particularly seems to have developed as we come in the run-up to Kingdom Hearts 3. And I suppose I can understand that in a way, because obviously it is a huge moment for the franchise. The game that we've been waiting for bloody forever for is finally coming out. I mean, anybody who has been waiting since Kingdom Hearts 2, yeah, that's been a freaking long wait of 13 bloody years. Like, Jesus Christ on a bike. So, yeah, it's a big thing. And I suppose, and because the game looks good and it looks fun, people who've never played the series before are kind of getting interested. And I suppose that's ultimately what's leading into this whole debate, and why you're ending up with sort of people gatekeeping, but not necessarily gatekeeping because they're being opinionated blighters, but I think a lot of people are gatekeeping because they really do love the franchise and want to offer the advice of saying, this is how we believe it is best to experience it, which is totally fine. It's a complicated one. And did I just go completely back on myself? I think I might have done. Oh no, we are okay. You see, with La Cité de Cloche, whatever, two of the areas do look very similar. And it's the two on either side of the bridge. And it's very difficult to tell which one's which. But you can generally tell because one's got these wooden structures in it and is very much more branching, whereas the other one is much more of just a big open square that you can sort of explore around. Also, if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure that the first one, which is the town, is much more vertical, whereas I think this is classified as the outskirts. It's very much flatter, so it's easy to tell which one is which, but because obviously you're just in the city of Paris, it can get a little bit of a challenge to entirely figure out what you're looking at. But that said, we are going to get some pretty glorious stuff towards the end of Sora's time in La Cité de Cloche, and it's quite delightful. And I would say it's a really damn good rendering of the actual final moments of the Hunchback of Notre Dame film. I mean, obviously, it's nothing like the original book, which I probably should read at some point. Obviously, I know I will come away from it completely depressed. Also, it might take me a while because Victor Hugo novels are freaking long. I mean, at some point, I do really want to actually read Les Miserables, but I know that once I get another ludicrously long book, and there's only so much strength I have to go through any texts that are that long. Like, I think at this point in time, the longest books I've read are the likes of The Lord of the Rings and then The Inheritance Cycle. I think those are probably the longest that I've ever stuck through, which I suppose is kind of bad, considering, you know, doing an English literature degree. But it's all about time, and a lot of those longer books they take it out of you. They really do. Although at some point I'm sure I will, when, you know, I've reached a point in my life where certain things aren't necessarily as fun as they perhaps used to be. I mean, obviously, I've mentioned it before, and undoubtedly I'll mention it again as I kind of tick closer towards the end of my time on YouTube as doing playthroughs and commentaries and stuff. Once I've kind of finished doing this, I will have a lot more spare time to do other things, and part of that will undoubtedly be reading a bit more, because I do love a good book. It's just that quite often I am focusing on doing stuff like this, and recording stuff for this, and doing the commentary, and yada yada yada. And then it gets to late at night, and I'm just like, oh, no, bed, right now, I've got work in the morning. Which is great, but it does mean that generally I then don't get a whole lot of work. Well, a whole lot of reading done, which I would prefer to do. But that's fine. We get over it, we make do. It's just sort of... There is only a finite amount of time in the day, and so you've just got to kind of prioritise whatever you can, really. And yes, we are slowly but surely working our way towards the Court of Miracles, which is going to be delightful. But first we have to go through these sort of catacombs and tunnels and all sorts. There's a whole bunch of secret tunnels that you can go through. Some of them are quite helpful, some of them... Well, pretty much all of them are quite helpful because they either lead to secret locations or different entrances to places. Pretty much on this one, this is where you want to go, because this gives you easy access to the thing causing all of the poison gas, which you can, you know, then completely destroy, and that will save the day, because that will stop all of the poison from attacking the floor, and that makes life a hell of a lot easier, because then, you know, you can actually traverse and not have to worry about it. There's only a few instances of that throughout the game, so there's that one here. I'm pretty sure, actually, the only other instance I can think of where that occurs is in the first of the second round of Worlds. Everywhere else is pretty devoid of poison goo. Which is definitely for the best, because, I mean, you know, poison goo's awful.
Take this.
Also, one of the things that I haven't raised, but I'm now thinking back to when I first played Kingdom Hearts, and now realising the point that I was going to make is pretty stupid. Was I really like having the mini-map on the screen pointing me in the direction I need to go, because, like, I seem to recall, I could be completely wrong, but I do seem to recall, like, in the older Kingdom Hearts games, that you picked up maps from chests, and so on and so forth. So it could theoretically be quite easy to get lost. But then I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking, is that something that used to happen in Kingdom Hearts but doesn't anymore? Because I know it's a Zelda thing, and I know it's a thing that happens in Okami. But I'm thinking back and thinking, I remember in Kingdom Hearts, but I also am now completely questioning myself. And yes, oh good, I'm not crazy.
Back off. Take this.
I'm definitely not crazy, thank God for that. So yeah, so Kingdom Hearts 2 you had maps, and in Birth by Sleep you also had maps. Everywhere else in the franchise, I think you already had it automatically. Looking on that now, actually, it seems kind of odd that they would introduce that. Like, you were given maps from the off, although maybe you just weren't, and they expected you to run around it, and they decided to add in maps as a sort of quality of life feature to help you explore. Maybe, I don't really know anymore. But I definitely prefer it in this fashion, where I have a little mini-map on the screen so that, you know, I can tell where I'm going, or like I can just press a button and get a full map up with kind of directions if needs be. Because that was one of the things that actually when I was playing through The World's End with you that I was getting a wee bit frustrated about, was that there was no kind of helpful map that could point me in the right direction of where I wanted to go. Eventually, you know, I figured out where I was going. I sort of just learnt the town, which is what the game expects you to do. But having, you know, a decent map with sort of the general routes and exits, it helps. It really, really helps. And it's something I really would have appreciated. But there we go, it is a thing, not much I can do about it on that front. But that's fine, we'll live with it. And we are making some decent progress in levelling up here, which is nice. We're also going to do a little bit more playing about. I said I was going to cut these out, but I felt, you know, considering we haven't actually done this properly with multiple Dream Eaters yet, so it kind of makes sense to, you know, show it off, because it's a little bit more exciting when there's more Dream Eaters. It's also a lot easier to get a higher score, because they end up, you know, managing to flick a load more of them back at you. And they multiply a lot more. Also, I'm going far too quickly for this. Like, generally what you should do is wait until they get really close and then just mash away, because then you just get loads of excellence, and that really does ramp up your score, and it's great. Can't remember what the trophy score for this one is. I think it's, you need to get over 200 in balloon pop. It's 400 in water barrel, and then it's 800 in candy goggles. Pretty sure that's the layout. Yes, we go through here and we're in another graveyard. Don't know why. Feels like perhaps a little bit of a waste to have 2 graveyards, and there's ultimately going to be 2 catacomb areas to go through. Maybe they just sort of wanted to make more use of the assets and that they wouldn't have to do quite so much work. Perhaps. It's a thing that could have happened. But it's alright, because we are very, very, very close to the end of La Cité de Cloche for Sora, which is great. I mean, I know this part has been really long, and it's because I've been doing, you know, a lot of murdering, which is actually a very good thing for me to be doing, because let's just say that the boss of this area is quite difficult. Like, very much so. Because he just really, really, really likes to get in the way. Also, I would really like to have completed this mission in the time limit, because, you know, that would have made me feel like a badass, but hey, I suppose I wasn't too far off of it, and I can live with that. Because getting these challenges isn't that important. You want to complete at least one of every type of challenge. So complete within 20 seconds, use 3 link attacks, block so many attacks. Like, they're all pretty common things. I think there's about 7 link challenges to complete. So you do want to complete at least one of each, because I believe that nets you a trophy, both in-game and in kind of outside of the game, in like your actual trophy collection. So it's something you want to do, but it's not the most important thing in the world, really. And here I am just going, right, have I got everything around here? See, I'm always really anal about making sure I pick up all of the chests as I go along where it's all possible. I know I've missed a load, but I do always really want to make sure I pick them up, and I try my best. So, yeah, it can be a little bit of a thing. And it's gonna come back to bite me in the ass when I eventually do Kingdom Hearts 3. I can see it now. I really can. It's gonna drive me potty. But hey, that is what I'm signing myself up for, and that is what will ultimately end up happening. And yep, there goes all of that, nice and neatly. Which then just means nice, easy mopping up of Dream Eaters before I go do my final treasure collection stuff. And then we're pretty much ready for the end of the area. The end of the world, actually. Not the end of the world, because obviously that was in Kingdom Hearts 1, we've already beaten that world. But the end of La Cité de Cloche. Because yeah, it's pretty much here, because as soon as we get to the Court of Miracles, we're pretty much going to be railroaded into the end of La Cité de Cloche. which is nice, but it does mean that we are getting closer and closer and closer to one of the more infuriating boss fights in the game. It's alright in this iteration, but there is an iteration later on which is, oh boy, really infuriating. Although hilariously, I beat that one first try. This iteration of the fight, I took a number of attempts. Yeah, always fun, always a delight. And I'm just going on my, have I picked everything up that I could possibly pick up? I'm pretty sure that I have. So it's alright, we're just going to go into the Court of Miracles. Oh no, you missed this door. And that's a Toximander recipe, I'll take that. So Toximander is sort of the salamander thing that goes into the pool of toxic sludge. It makes sense, they've got pretty self-explanatory names of all of the Dream Eaters. And you're having fun down there, Drillsai. I'll come and ruin your party like, but yeah, you shouldn't have just kind of made yourself known there, because otherwise I would have just ignored you. But hey, here we are in the Court of Miracles. Definitely make sure you save. Definitely make sure you save. And maybe we'll just do a little bit of checking things out, because levelling up at this point is a good shout, because we're basically going to get cutscenage and then boss fight. So you can, I think, get all of the treasure in the area before you activate the cutscene, because I think you just got to sort of run around on the floor to get to the point. But you are going to have to maneuver very carefully in order to achieve that. Oh no, you don't have to move anyway, you just have to talk to Esmeralda. That makes it even better, because then it just means that you get to explore and actually find the things that you want to find, rather than just being forced immediately into a cutscene. Which can happen quite frequently, and that's hilarious, we can murder ourselves. Anyway, here we are, the Court of Miracles.
I came to warn you. Frollo's on his way.
Take what you can and flee.
Well done, Captain Phoebus. Thankfully, you are every bit as predictable as I had hoped. Dear Quasimodo, I always knew you would someday be of use to me. I have you at last, you witch. There'll be a bonfire in the square.
No. Please, Master.
Huh.
Frollo, I won't let you do this!
Oh, bloody hell, sorry, you useless fool.
No! Quasimodo? Esmeralda! Phoebus! He's taking her to a bonfire in the square. I gotta hurry!
Yes, you need to stop the hellfire, dark fire.
Esmeralda!
Now, Gypsy, it's your turn. Quite literally, because he's already burning her. Go, Quasimodo! This was a badass moment in the film, and it's a badass moment here.
Way to go, Quasi! Sanctuary!
And right here is our hideous boss. This is a Wargoyle, who is really bloody irritating because he causes a lot of damage, he's really aggressive, and he's freaking big. Also, I really do not have the best team command set up for this, because Zero Gravity does absolutely sweet sod all to him and I'm just wasting my time with it. But hey, them's the breaks. So I believe that his battle theme right now is Majestic Wings. Yeah, I believe that this is Majestic Wings. I think when we fight Wargoyle as Riku, it's Untamable. I would say I prefer Majestic Wings as a song. It's really glorious. But yeah, this is actually also something interesting that I've noticed about these early phases of the boss fights that we're dealing with, is that both of Sora's have been grounded foes, and both of Riku's are flying. Also, I have to say, this is probably not the best dual link to be using against him, but it's working, and I will take that. And at least I got time to get in a delightful cure in there, otherwise that would have been a pain in the backside. But it is defeated, and yeah, that took me more than a few tries than I would like to admit, but it's fine because it's defeated. And that, my friends, is the end of La Cité de Cloche. And we get the rather beautiful, well, dark ending,
I should have known,
but then the beautiful happy ending that comes of it.
Witch.
And that makes me really happy.
Your own mother died in her pitiful attempt to save you.
What?
Now, I'm going to do what I should have done 20 years ago.
Hold on! Hold on!
And he shall smite the wicked and plunge them into the fiery pit forever!
Quasimodo! No! No!
Quasimodo, you can't let your heart be...
I know. I can't blame Frollo for putting walls around me. It wasn't the walls that were holding me back. But my heart is free now. I'm ready to really see what's out there.
All that time, Quasimodo let himself be trapped inside the nightmares Frollo gave him.
Hypocrite. You are the one who has made your heart a prison.
You again! What are you talking about?
Even if you are not the prisoner.
Huh? My heart's a prison?